Alright, welcome back. In the last part, we started modeling our faucet and we finished off here. And what I want to do now is start giving these objects some supporting edges so that we can smooth it out, as well as finish modeling a couple sections where the water comes out and the back of the faucet where this piece inserts into. So first thing, let's select our faucet handle and press H on the keyboard to hide it. And then we'll select this one. If we press 3 in the keyboard, if you look over here, this section is rounding out a bit too much. So we need some supporting edges. And I don't want to bevel it with the rest of the section because I want this area to be a little bit softer and I want the other sections to be sharper. So we're going to manually add supporting edges in here. So let's grab our multi-cut tool. Again, you can get to your multi-cut tool from the shelf or from the modeling toolkit. I'm going to hold down Shift and the right mouse button and I'll grab it this way. And then over here, I want to add a loop right about here. That looks pretty good. And then I need another edge on the other side. We have a triangle here. So what we can do is maybe get rid of this edge and redirect this edge to form that supporting edge on the other side. So let's go into edge mode. We'll select this edge and the one on the bottom as well. And let's delete these. And let's grab our multi-cut tool again. And we're going to cut from here to about right here. We're going to try and match the distance from here, but up here. So something like this is fine. And then I want to cut in a straight line. So I'm going to hold down Control and Shift. I'll get a green dotted line. And now I just need to click on this edge and I'll add a straight cut. Great. When you're done, press Enter or the right mouse button. And we'll do the same for the bottom. So I'll click somewhere here and hold down Control and Shift and click right here. All right. Now, before we bevel the rest of this mesh, we have some faces at the bottom here, and this faucet sits on a surface, so we don't really need to see that geometry. And if we get rid of it, we won't need to add extra holding edges down here, which means we'll reduce that topology count as well. So let's go into face mode, and I'm gonna hold down the tab key. That'll enable drag select, and we just want to grab all these faces over here. I'm going to press 4 to go into wireframe. Just make sure I didn't select anything I shouldn't have. And now let's delete that. So I press 5 to go back, by the way. All right, so now let's go into edge mode, and we'll grab all the edges we need for our bevel. So I'm going to double click where I can. The areas where it doesn't grab that loop, we'll need to manually add to the selection. So it didn't grab these lower little edges over here for me. So I'll just grab these. At the bottom here, we'll need to bevel these two loops. And then we'll need to bevel this corner as well. And that bottom perimeter. And that top outer section as well. All right, I think I grabbed everything I needed. Sometimes you'll miss some edges or you'll grab things you didn't intend to, and you'll just need to Control Z to undo your last selection and then re-bevel. But let's try it. So I'm gonna hold down Shift, right mouse button, and bevel. And for this, I'll press 3 on the keyboard to preview this, and I'll also turn off the chamfer because I want this to be slightly sharp. And now we just want to orbit around our mesh and make sure it looks correct. And it looks good. And what I want to do also is play with the fraction because I want this to be not too sharp. So I'm going to increase this fraction to probably around 0.7 to 0.8 is fine. There we go. And now let's press 1 to go back and take a look. Right, so that beveling created a couple n-gons for us. So there's some on this side and over here as well and around the front, right, where that edge had nowhere to go. So let's fix the one at the top first. So this one over here, whenever you see a junction like this and the rest of that polygon looks like a quad, we can pretty much connect this point to over here and we'll have a couple quads. So let's grab our multi-cut tool and we'll connect from here to here. And if you look now, we have a couple quads. There we go. And we'll do the same over here. Perfect. And then over here, what I'm going to do is redirect this edge into this area to reuse some of this geometry and clean it up. So let's connect this point to here, and then this point to here. If I press 3 in the keyboard now, you can see that the shading will be totally fine, right? Those triangles will smooth out. They'll probably even be turned into quads. Now, if we want to make this a little more presentable, let's turn it into quads now though. So I'm gonna press 1 to go back, and to do that, I'm going to connect this point to here. Here we go. And now let's straighten that as well. So we'll go into vertex mode. We'll grab these 3 vertices, go into your scale tool. I'm gonna hold down Control and Shift and just slide this to the middle, and now that's straight. And if I select this vertex and move it, you can see that we actually have quads here. So we can make that a little more neat looking. So let's align this vertex to this one over here. I'm gonna hold down V on the keyboard, click on this arrow, and move my mouse cursor to the vertex I want to align to. And I'll do the same over here as well. There you go. And then down here, we'll do the same thing. And there we go, it's a little more tidy, and we might as well straighten this one as well. All right, so next let's work on the back section over here. Let's add a loop right here. So I'm gonna go into object mode. Yeah, let's grab our multi-cut tool, and I'm gonna put a cut right about here. I think there should be fine, maybe even slightly lower. And what we can do is straighten this as well. So go into your scale tool, and we'll just straighten it. All right, next, it's a little bit hard to get around this mesh. So let's put this object on its own layer. So select the object, open up your channel box, and then we'll click this last icon, and that'll add it to its own layer. We'll double click the layer, and I'm just going to rename this. We'll call this the sync stopper layer. There you go. And then in this last box, click on this. You'll get a T. T stands for template. So now we can select it. We can see its wireframe, and we can use it as a reference point, right? So now let's select this object, and I'm gonna go into edge mode, and I'm gonna give our mesh a little more space here. Sorry, these faces a little more space. So let's just move these apart slightly. There we go. And then let's create an offset there as well. So we'll go into face mode. We'll select these 2 faces, and let's extrude with an offset. And for the offset, I'm just gonna drag this in until I get roughly the thickness I want. So not the thickness, the width I want. And then I'm going to take this box here and just scale it this way. So something like that. All right, I think that looks pretty good right there. Let's go into vertex mode, and we're gonna move a couple of these vertices as well. So we'll select these 2, and we'll just scale these apart a little bit. There you go. And then these ones over here, this shape, which will be the hole, is a little bit like an oval. So we'll select these 2 vertices and move these slightly apart as well. All right, let's go into face mode. We'll wanna select these 2 faces, go into your move tool, and let's do a smart extrude. So hold down shift, and we wanna extrude this in until we have roughly the thickness of the faucet we want. And then just delete. Delete those faces. And if we press 3 in the keyboard, this is what we have so far for the smoothing. I wanna sharpen that outer edge a little bit. So let's go into edge mode. We'll double click this edge, and let's bevel it. So we'll bevel, and I'm just going to turn the chamfer off, press 3 in the keyboard, and now we have something like this. So that looks a lot better. We do have an issue though. If you look from the side, you can see it's curving out a little bit. So let's go into the side view so you can see a bit better. And in this view, let's turn off that, disable the visibility of the reference. And this is why we added the references onto their own layers. It makes it really easy to toggle that visibility. And you can see over here it's curving out. So what we can do is over here, go into vertex mode, and we're gonna move some of these vertices in a little bit. So we're gonna grab these 4 over here, and these 4 down here as well. And then if we go back to our side view, press 3 on the keyboard again, and go into our move tool, we can move this in so that it's not sticking out so much. And something like that probably is good. All right, so now we have this. That's pretty good. Let's work on the top next. So up here, we'll want to add a loop right here. And the reason for that is it'll allow us to extrude an area that we can circularize. So let's grab our multi-cut tool. We'll add a cut right about here. And let's grab this edge and straighten it as well. So I'm going to hold down Control and Shift, just slide this to the middle. There we go. And then we're going to basically extrude and make a circle, but we need a reference point for the top view, because right now, if we go into the top view, we can't see where that circular area is, right? And what we'll do is, let's see here. Let me bring over the reference so you guys can see a bit better. So this is what we're making, right? And so we're going to extrude in, and we'll simplify this and then extrude out this section over here. All right, so let's add a cylinder into the scene, and we'll do it from the side view. So let's bring back our reference. And over here, we'll add a cylinder, and we'll just move it over here. And I'm just gonna scale this down, move it roughly into place. There we go. And then I just wanna move it down here out of the way. Now from the top view, we'll be able to align our circle, and you'll be able to see in a second. All right, so in this view, let's extrude this area. So go into face mode, and we'll do a drag select. So hold down the tab key, we'll drag those and grab those faces, and let's extrude with an offset. And then we want to circularize this, so hold down Shift and the right mouse button and circularize. Here we go. And it looks like our twist is a little bit off, so let's fix that. We'll go into the top view. And it might be a little bit hard to see, so let's turn off the reference for this. Turn off that visibility, and then we just want to play with the twist here. There you go, just get it close. We will be smoothing this out later anyways, right? So it doesn't have to be exactly twisted straight. All right, so let's take a look at our object over here. And what we want to do is kind of match the distance from here to here, right? And first, let's align it with that circular area. So I'm going to press W to go into my move tool, and I just want to move this down so that it's around that midsection. There we go. And then over here, let's retopologize this as well. So go into edge mode, and we'll select these 4 edges, hold down Control, press Delete, so that we delete that vertex. And then let's grab our multi-cut tool, and we'll connect from here to here. All right, so we have quads there, perfect. Let's grab these faces. And if we look at our reference, right, we can probably create a little more space there. So let's scale this in. And now let's go into our move tool and extrude this up. So something like that. And we need to extrude this in as well, but we want to match that cylinder, because that cylinder has the distance from here to here, right? So we'll go into our top view and go into your scale tool, and then hold down Shift, and we just want to extrude that in to something like that. All right. Now let's extrude down, so hold down Shift, extrude down, and we'll go into our front view for this, or sorry, our side view for this one. And we just want to match this with over here. And then we want to extrude down another section. And I mentioned this in the last video. This is showing that this spout area is pointing towards our faucet, but in our final design, you can see that it's pointing away. So we'll correct it so that it matches this. So over here, let's hold down Shift to extrude down another section. And then when we want to scale this in and then rotate it slightly so that it's pointing forward. Or away from the faucet, I should say. And I'll move it a little bit this way as well. All right, let's take a look. All right, I think that looks pretty good. If we press 3 on the keyboard, it rounds out, so we need some holding edges. So let's go into edge mode, and we'll double click these edges over here, and the ones at the bottom over here as well. And now let's bevel these edges, and we'll turn the chamfer off, pressing 3 on the keyboard. So this is what we have. And for this one, I'll probably increase the fraction just a little bit. There we go. All right, so let's take a look at what we have so far. Let's delete the cylinder, we don't need it. And I'm gonna turn off wireframe unshaded. And this is what we have going on. All right, looks pretty good. Pressing 1 to go back. And now let's unhide our faucet handle. To unhide it, hold down Control and Shift, press H on the keyboard, and that should unhide it. Sometimes it doesn't though, so you'll need to go into your outliner, locate it, select it, and press H to unhide it. Let's select this one. And what I want to do with this is, actually before we work on this, we have one more piece we need to, one more section we need to model. So let's hide this again, my bad. Let's hide this. We'll select this one, and we need to make this round, basically this round shape that comes out of here, right? This ball-like shape where the faucet handle attaches onto. So let's grab these faces. And first we'll make an offset. So we'll extrude, create a little bit of an offset, and now let's circularize that. Circularize components, and then we just want to play with the radial offset a little bit to bring it in, right? To create a little bit of a space for our bevel later on. And now let's extrude out this section. So hold down Shift and the right mouse button, extrude, and we can pull this out a little bit. Let's go into our front view for this one. And it's a little bit hard to see, but we'll just go over here, bring this out a little bit, and scale that in. So we have something like this. And then we want to press G to repeat and extrude out another section and scale this one in as well. So we have something like this. All right, so if we go into here, we can delete these faces. We don't need them. It'll be hidden anyhow. Most of this actually will be hidden. And then what we want to do is press 3 to take a look. So it's not too bad. What I'm going to do though is go into edge mode, double click this edge, and just scale this in a little bit more. And maybe this one as well. Actually, this one's probably fine. Maybe a little bit. Here we go. All right, so this is what we have. So let's bevel that outer edge. So we'll go grab this edge, double click this edge, and bevel. And for this one, I'm gonna press 3 on the keyboard, and I'll leave the chamfer off for this one, but what I'll do is I'll sharpen it up just a little bit. There we go. All right, so that section is done. And now let's unhide that section that we hid earlier. So hold down Control Shift, press H, and then we'll select this one, and I'm going to isolate this. And now for this one, let's grab all those, basically the perimeter edges. So grab all these. All of these as well. Oops. Grabbed a few I shouldn't have, so let's get rid of those ones. All right, so we'll need these base edges as well. And then on this side, I want to sharpen this. And the reason for that is I want a sharper angle on here. So we'll bevel these edges as well. So I think that's everything. Let's just have a look. Yeah, looks good. So let's give this a bevel. And we're going to turn off the chamfer and then press 3 on the keyboard, make sure that it looks correct, which it does. And what I'm going to do is press 1 to go back, and I'm going to unisolate this. And I'm also going to turn on wireframe unshaded. So if you look over here, right, these might not match exactly because these are two separate objects and the edge distances here will be different from here. We can't really match the fraction, so we'll match it visually. But for us, it's actually pretty close. I'm just gonna maybe lower that fraction just a little bit. There we go. All right, let's go into object mode. We'll select this one again. We'll isolate it and let's fix a couple areas. So if I press 3 on the keyboard, we have this front section that's a bit of a point. So if I go into the top view, you might be able to see it a bit better, right over here. And then we have this n-gon over here. So let's fix the n-gon first. And if you look at it, it might look familiar. It's essentially the same shape as what we had earlier. So we'll grab our multi-cut tool and cut from here to here. There you go. That's good. And then over here, the reason why this is a little more pointy is it has a different connection than this side. And let's fix this. So a couple ways to fix this. We could connect from here to here, delete some edges and fix this area. What I'm gonna do is something a little bit different. Let's go grab our target weld tool. So I'm gonna go into object mode. You can grab the target weld tool from the modeling toolkit, but I'm gonna go into object mode, hold down shift and the right mouse button and choose target weld. And I'm gonna weld this vertex to here and this one to here. There you go. Now let's go into edge mode. We wanna select these two edges, hold down control and press delete. And now those triangles are gone and we're left with quads all over here. Right, here we go. If we press 3 on the keyboard, go into the top view, you can see it's flat and we still have our nice sharp edge here. Most of this actually will be hidden anyhow, right? We mainly did it to get this nice angle on this side and a little bit on this side as well. All right, so just wanna check something. We're doing okay for time. Let's wrap this up. We're almost done. We'll unisolate this. And now we have this object and I'm going to select everything, press 1 on the keyboard, make sure that I'm not in preview mode still for preview smooth. And let's turn that sync stopper back to a regular layer. So we'll go over here and we'll find it. There we go. And now what we want to do is select everything and let's smooth it. So I'm going to select all of this and hold down shift and the right mouse button and smooth. So now we have an actual smooth and let's take a look at this. So we'll turn off the wireframe unshaded. And if we look and go around, it looks pretty good, right? So how much topology to give this really depends on your viewing distance, right? If it's for some type of exploration game and this is as close as you get to it or even further back, you're probably fine with this amount of topology. But if it's for a close-up for a cinematic or some type of walkthrough for a client that gets really close, you'll probably want to increase that topology just because as you get close, you can see the silhouette starts breaking and it destroys that sense of realism, right? So to do that, right, we'll just select it. I'm going to duplicate this and show you what that would look like. So we'll move this one over here. And then with this one, we'll smooth this one more level. There we go. And you can see with this one, we can get much closer without breaking that sense of realism. Right? But at a distance, they look the same. So it's just something to keep in mind. Also, I want to mention something you'll want to do before you smooth it from level 1 to level 2 is possibly clean up that geometry, remove any edges that maybe aren't part of the supporting edges so that you can reduce that poly count. Another thing you can do is just swap out the mesh in an LOD. So if this was for a game and they did get pretty close, you can use this for when they're really close and then swap to this mesh when they're further away and even reduce one for when they're even further away. right? But there you go. We have our faucet now. All right, so here's the finished faucet and also a side-by-side comparison of the low poly and high poly. Hopefully you enjoyed today's tutorial and can use the techniques to make some great looking objects for your own projects. That's it for this one, so we'll see you in the next. This has been Digital Dreambox, your destination for game art.